Welcome to Fool's Key Tarot. I'm Ben, and this is a daily reading for Monday, June 9th, 2025. Let's see what the cards have in store for us. Today I'm going to do a past, present, future reading. So we'll draw first for the past. We have the High Priestess. This can be calm reflection, meditation, dreams, mysteries. Definitely a card of subtlety and grace. Now for the present, we have the Five of Swords. This can be a difficult argument or fight, one where both people lose or where there's more lost than had to be, like insult added to injury or rubbing salt in the wound. Finally, the future, we have the King of Cups in reverse. So this can be tumultuous feelings, a group of people who are not getting along very well in terms of their emotions and their moods. This could be a lot of turbulence when it comes to feeling an emotion. But let's go back to the past first and read the cards chronologically. So it looks like in probably your recent past, because this is a daily reading, the past probably means the last few days, but it could be something farther from the past that is going to become relevant or important for today. So I'll say the recent past, but for you it might be farther. But recently you have felt like you are thinking through something and reflecting on it carefully. This is probably an internal process where you are running through it in your head. Maybe you're even getting a chance or got a chance to spend some time alone thinking this through. This is a card of calmness, so less discussing this issue with lots of other people and having lots of opinions or ideas thrown at you, and more calm, quiet reflection on some matter of importance. It could be a memory or a dream that has been recurring or that has risen to the surface and you're trying to understand the significance or the meaning of it. It could also just be a feeling that you are working through and trying to figure out. Maybe you're not sure what the source of this feeling is. Maybe you're not sure what to do about the feeling or with the feeling. Is it going to go away on its own, or do you need to do something about it? These could be the kinds of questions that you are mulling over. So I see a period of reflection and calmness, but probably some kind of emotion or feeling is being stirred up, and you are trying to figure out what to do with it or what it means. And that's our recent past. So when we come to today, I think that you may have figured out what it was and you didn't like the answer. So either this feeling turned into something worse or negative, or you realized that the cause of it is something unpleasant or that you didn't want to be the case. So I think that after this period of calm reflection, things are now happening faster and more definitively. So something will take you out of this calm state and bring you into a state of agitation and frustration. And it probably has to do with the end of this thinking process where you finally figure out what it is you were thinking through. Or maybe, in fact, maybe even more likely, somebody else shows up and figures it out for you, but not necessarily in a good way. They might have your best intentions in mind, but the information they deliver to you that helps you put the pieces together is an unpleasant bit of information that makes you feel defeated or angry. And this is not the resolution you were hoping for or expecting. And so this might be like a rude awakening or a very difficult truth to face. You might realize that whatever the source of your feeling or dream or thought that you have been trying to figure out, you might realize that it's coming from a negative source that you're going to have to deal with. So you may have been hoping that it was going to go away on its own, or that it was maybe erroneous and passing, but you're realizing that you're going to have to deal with the source, and it's not going to be pleasant. That understanding and realization is going to cause negative emotions when it comes. It's going to feel like bad news, and it might feel almost over the top in terms of you imagined a spectrum of outcomes as you were thinking this through in the past, and this is like the worst case or even worse than you had imagined. And so it's not just not the outcome you were hoping for, it's probably worse than you thought it could have been, or somehow involves a piece that you don't want to be involved at all, and realizing that that person or that topic or that subject is actually wrapped up in all of this is going to be a very unpleasant realization. And you're going to resist it at first. You might even deny this truth for some time. And it may not even be today that you come to accept this truth, but today will be the day that this truth makes itself apparent to you. And it's up to you when you're ready to grasp it and to then act on it. Because even though this is an unpleasant realization, it does at least mean that you have the clarity to move forward, even if moving forward means unpleasantness. And with the reverse King of Cups in the future, I think that addressing this problem is going to cause problems with people that you normally get along with quite well. You might have to stir up some controversy or bring up a subject that would be more comfortable to let it stay hidden beneath the surface. There might be somebody that you like a lot and get along with well, but beneath the surface, there's something else going on, and you're realizing that you need to address that issue. And it would be a lot easier to just let it continue on beneath the surface and have that kind of easier, more superficial level of connection with this person. Or it could be like a group of people, maybe a family or a friend group, where things are going pretty well on the surface. But beneath the surface, you're realizing that whatever's been bothering you or whatever you've been thinking about has to do with a negative aspect of this group that needs to be dealt with. And the sooner you deal with it, the easier it will be to deal with. But it is going to be painful to bring up this topic. It's going to be painful to address this issue. And therefore, you're going to not want to do it. And doing it will cause upset feelings. It will cause controversy and change where before there was alignment and stability. And that's a difficult thing to be the person to bring that about. But with the King of Cups reversed in your future, I think that those things are in your future no matter what. And you can either bring them out in order to productively try to solve the problem and get it out in the open and deal with it intentionally, in which case those negative things are still going to happen, but you can try to move past them and get through them to a happier future more quickly. If you try to avoid these things, they will still bubble up and find a way out. There will still be issues. There will still be fighting or crossed feelings or frustrations within this group or with this person. But if you don't address it head on, these things are going to bubble up in unexpected ways and cause additional problems that don't need to be caused. Because whenever you do finally address this issue, it's still going to be difficult, whether or not these other kinds of difficulties have bubbled up on their own in the meantime. So all that will do will add to the problems that you will face, and it won't actually make addressing this issue any easier. In fact, it might even make it harder. So unfortunately, I do see turbulence in your future with respect to some of your relationships, whether that's one other person or a group of people or even an institution, if it's how you relate to your workplace or your school or to some other group like a church. There's going to be a shakeup, and some feelings are going to be hurt. Some feathers will be ruffled, and there's nothing you can do to avoid that, but you can absolutely choose the time and the place that this happens. And if you go in with intention to make things right, then while those painful things are still going to happen, they can be in service of moving towards a better future rather than in service of nothing if they are simply let to their own devices and then bubble up and cause problems on their own. So it looks to me like you've got some kind of conflict that you need to address head on, and it's going to be highly painful. And you've been thinking about it recently, and you may not have quite realized what you needed to do, but today is going to be the day where at least the information that you need will be presented to you, and whether or not you put that information together and accept what it means is going to be up to you. But as long as this more calm and peaceful state goes on, you are still acquiring information and figuring out what it all means and putting it together. And once you do put it together, you're going to realize that something difficult is going to have to happen, but through that difficulty, something better could emerge. And that difficulty is unavoidable, but you can direct it towards that good outcome rather than just letting it explode all over the situation without anyone directing it. And therefore, there will be no guarantee of things looking better on the other side. Things might just continue to get worse and worse and worse. Whereas if you address this head on, there's at least a chance of making things better. Now, maybe these difficulties will be so much that this group or this relationship will be permanently damaged, but I think there's definitely a chance here for that not to happen. But one thing to keep in mind that the cards are reinforcing with this reading is that even though you might have to say and do some things that might hurt some feelings, do it with as much care as possible. Don't be any more unkind or honest than you have to be in order to address the situation. You might have your emotions tied up in this situation, and when you realize what's really going on, when this meditative state ends and you come to clarity about what's happening, you might feel a strong desire to address the problem right away, but with anger or with passion. And that might cause things to be worse than they need to be. So actually, I would let this more calm meditative state last longer than it feels like it needs to, so that when you do go to address this feeling, this situation rather, you're calm and collected and can do it strategically and with kindness and with gentleness. Because if you add insults that don't need to be there, or you make things more antagonized than they have to be, then that is going to significantly reduce the chances of coming through this period of turbulence into a more harmonious and happy time. And you want to maximize the chance of that happening, because this group or this relationship is something that has a lot of potential. But right now, it might seem like things are okay. But until this problem is dealt with, that potential is in question. But you do have the tools to bring about the good side of that potential, but you do need to be careful in how you do it. Be respectful of everybody's feelings and make sure to go about this in the most gentle way possible. And I say that because it's probably not going to be gentle, but you can mitigate those rough edges as much as possible. You might not feel like doing that, but it's for the good of the group. And ultimately, it's for the good of yourself, even if it doesn't seem that way in the moment. So if you enjoyed this reading, then subscribe to see more. And if you'd like to learn about tarot cards or try some of my online guided readings, then head on over to foolskey.com where you can check that out. Thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow.